So there's something sacred about today because it's graduation Sunday. It's a milestone, and milestones matter. If you're a graduate in 2026, you remembered, because it wasn't too long ago, that you were working hard, you were getting up early mornings, you were staying up late night. You had to persevere through 13 years of school, right? So this is a big milestone, all right? But even those of us who graduated a long, long time ago, back in the 1900s, we still remember our graduations too. And I think all of us, no matter if we're graduating on May 27th or we graduated in 1984, not that I would know anything about that, we all have questions still. You know, you think you graduate, you know everything. But I think there's a question that all of us have that kind of stays inside of us. It's thoughtful and it's speculative, and it's probably something like, well, what's going to come next? Or am I really ready for what's next? Or can I really do it? And that feeling is not just for those people that are graduating this year. Those of us that graduated back in the 1900s are still asking those questions. So we're all in this together. So this is going to begin with a question, and I bet you probably know what it is. It requires a yes or no answer is all. And it might sound a little too casual for today, because today is a milestone day for many people, graduation Sunday. So here's the question. Do you need a little Jesus? Not as a criticism, not that I think you do, but it's more of an invitation. Anybody that is here today probably has a little Jesus, but do we need more? At first, it kind of sounds like, something in passing. Do you need a little Jesus? Kind of like you're going to go have some coffee and, somebody's looking a little down. And instead of saying, what's going on? Maybe you just say, do you need a little Jesus? Or maybe it's somebody that is, looking a little tired. Some of these graduates that had to work very hard, and they were up late nights and up early mornings, and they just look tired. And maybe we need to just say to them, do you need a little Jesus? Not as a criticism, but as an invitation. So after being so proud and so confident in what we do, we go back to those questions. Am I really ready for the next thing? And I think that's where our question, do you need a little Jesus, meets us here. In our scripture today in John 15:5, Sarah read, I am the vine and you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. These words are very beautiful, and they sound very, very spiritual. But what Jesus is really saying to us, I think, is you're not as self-sufficient as you think you are. And most of us don't want to hear that, because we always believe, we've got this. Don't worry about it. I've got it. Or I can handle it. It's no worries. Or we're just capable. And to be fair, we are very capable, because God has gifted us with many things. But Jesus isn't really just talking about a function or functioning. Jesus is talking about whether we can flourish. So function is, you go to work, pay the bills, you get some stuff done. And we can all do that without Jesus. But if we want to flourish, we need Jesus to be able to live in peace, with purpose and with joy. There's a difference there. Do we want to function or do we want to flourish? Sometimes I think we treat Jesus like a supplement, like a vitamin. You know, do you ever take your multivitamin every day, to get a little help? So if we treat Jesus like a supplement or a vitamin, we think, I need a little encouragement. I need a little Jesus. Or I'm going to go to church on Sunday because I need a little Jesus. Or maybe I need a refill. It's just getting low, so you need a refill of Jesus. Now, Jesus doesn't say that I'm a helpful addition to your life, like a supplement. But he says, I am the vine. He doesn't say, I am a vine. He says, I am the vine, which means that he's not only offering to us to be a part of life, but to actually be the source of our life. Jesus speaks these words before his crucifixion, and the disciples, if you remember, they're facing confusion, they're fearful, they're uncertain about what's happening, and everything that they believed to be stable was being shaken. And then Jesus says, I am the vine, you are the branches. And at this time in history, vineyards were very common, and the disciples would understand this example easily. A branch has no independent life. Everything it needs, everything the branch needs, the nutrients, the strength, the growth, it flows from the vine. And so here's what's encouraging. Jesus is not saying try harder, because branches don't try harder to produce fruit. Have you ever seen a branch say, come on, apples, try harder, I know you can do it? Have you ever seen that? Of course not. Branches don't try harder. They just stay connected. Branches don't go to self-help seminars. They don't look at self-help podcasts. They just stay connected. And that's what Jesus is saying. He's saying stay connected. We like to think we're the source. We've got systems and schedules and coded calendars. We don't usually have time to use those, or at least I don't. And we wake up in the morning and we say, okay, today I'm going to have everything under control. And then by lunchtime, it's already rearranged. My plan has already been rearranged. But we persevere and we keep trying harder and harder. But I think this is Jesus reminding us that we are not a machine. We are a branch. Branches don't strive. They just stay connected to the source or the vine, who's Jesus. In the second scripture that Sarah read out from Matthew, she read, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. If you're honest about it, I think it sounds pretty amazing, don't you? You can just go and get some rest. But we also kind of think, okay, well, there's probably a catch to that, because that sounds almost too good to be true. Because most of the time when people are talking to us, they're saying, work harder, do more, do better, achieve more. But Jesus isn't saying that. Jesus says, just come to me and rest. He doesn't say collapse. He doesn't say quit. He just means stop trying to carry all of the burdens that aren't yours to carry. He's talking to the weary, the burdened, the tired, the ones who are carrying more than they can handle. In other words, I think he's talking to us. He's offering us something deeper. Because you can wake up after sleeping 8 hours and you can still be tired. You can go on vacation for a couple of weeks and you can still come back overwhelmed. And you can look fine on the outside and slow down physically, but you can still be anxious on the inside. So this rest that Jesus is talking about, I believe, is soul level rest. It's rest for your soul. It's a rest that offers peace in knowing that you're not alone, that you're not in control of everything, and that's okay, and that you are held by somebody stronger than you. Jesus goes on to say, "Take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Life doesn't just become easy, but what this means is that you don't have to carry it alone. So, graduates, you're stepping into something new and something exciting, but let's not pretend, the rest of us I'm talking to, let's not pretend that we have everything together, because we don't. Some of us graduated a long time ago, and we're still asking, where am I supposed to be? Or we're wondering if we're doing enough. Or we're wondering if we're being enough. So let me ask you again. Do you need a little Jesus? Not the polished one, not the polished, put together you, but the tired, the anxious, the frustrated, the unsure you. Because that's exactly who Jesus is talking to. So maybe today, instead of continuing to try harder, maybe we need to shift how we think about where our strength comes from. Maybe instead of saying, I have to hold everything together, we say, I can stay connected to the one who holds me. Instead of saying, I need to figure all of this out, to, I can trust the one who already knows the way. So let's return to the question, do you need a little Jesus? Maybe today we answer a little differently, with a different intent, not with guilt, not with pressure, but with honesty, and maybe a little relief. Yes, I do need Jesus, not because I'm failing, but because I was never meant to do this alone. Jesus isn't standing at a distance looking at me to see if I'm getting it right. Jesus is right here with us. He's the vine already offering us life. He's the invitation saying, come to me. And Jesus is already inviting you to stay connected, to come to him, and to trust him. Trust that his strength is enough and let him give you rest. Because we don't just need a little Jesus. We need a steadfast presence in our life all the time. We need a life that is rooted in him, and a life that is sustained by him, and a life that is carried by his grace. So we do need a little Jesus a lot of the time. So be it, and so it is. Amen.